So I have a question. You know, when you have a cartoon like Zootopia where you have a society where all these different kinds of animals are living together, you know, you have your carnivores and your herbivores. Um, what are the carnivores eating? Where does the food for the carnivores come from? Because they established in Zootopia that they have farms, which is where they grow fruits and vegetables, which is where Judy's from, so all the herbivores have enough to eat, but what are the carnivores eating? Usually in nature they eat other animals, but they're all living alongside each other right now, so what are they eating? You know, I couldn't help but notice that there weren't any cows in Zootopia. I guess they didn't evolve. Sucks to be a cow. Anyway, while you're overthinking that, I'm going to talk about Zootopia, Disney's second movie to be released that doesn't have a princess. Until Moana shows up later this year and breaks the combo. There's just no escaping it. Zootopia takes place in a world where humans never evolved, and I guess just generally monkeys never happened, because I didn't see any of them in the movie. It's a big, bustling city that accommodates all different kinds of animals. There was a section where there were all the tiny little rodent creatures, and then there's an Arctic place, and then there's a rainforest, and then Zootopia kind of is in the middle of all that, so that's where they all come together. So this review is going to be mostly spoiler-free. There are a few things I do want to bring up and talk about, but I promise I'm not going to give away any major plot points, and I'm definitely not going to give away the big reveal at the end. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, you should be okay watching this video. If you're still a little apprehensive about continuing this video, that's fine too, but definitely check out the movie. It was really good. So the movie is about Judy, who's a rabbit who dreams of being a police officer, and when her dream finally comes true, she moves to the big city, Zootopia, and of course she realizes that maybe the big city is not what she expected it to be. Judy's played by Ginnifer Goodwin, who plays Snow White on the TV show Once Upon a Time. I guess Disney likes to keep it in the family. She meets this grifter wise guy fox named Nick, voiced by Jason Bateman, and she needs his help to solve a crime. A lot of other great characters in this movie too. There was Idris Elba, who voices the police chief, who was both hilarious and frightening at the same time. J.K. Simmons voices the mayor of Zootopia, and I love J.K. Simmons, so I kind of wish he had more lines, or at least more to do in this movie. Jenny Slate voices the assistant mayor, and she's also going to be in the upcoming movie The Secret Life of Pets, and I am convinced she has the cutest voice ever. Sorry, I'm being told that I'm not allowed to call them cute. I guess they think it's weird when another species calls them cute. Shakira is in this movie. She plays the pop star Gazelle. Probably made all the kids that went to go see this movie feel weird about themselves. Nate Torrance plays the dispatcher at the police station, and he was probably my favorite character because he was hilarious, but there was also this genuine sense of sincerity and enthusiasm behind his performance. And later on in the movie, something bad happens to him, and I genuinely felt upset about it. So even though I'm not allowed to say it, I'm going to say it anyway. This movie was very cute. The models for the character were really great. They found this really nice balance between a realistic look and that anthropomorphic, cartoonish look. And there have been a lot of movies that have tried that, and it just didn't work out right. A couple of years ago, there was a movie called Rango, where they also tried anthropomorphic yet realistic look to their animal models, and yeah, it didn't quite work out as well. Zootopia itself was modeled really, really well. Disney seems to really love them CGI cities lately, because there was this, and before this we had San Francisco with Big Hero 6, and then before that we had Rivendell and Frozen, and even the hub in Wreck-It Ralph was very similar. There was a lot of characters moving around. There were so many hilarious scenes in this movie. If you remember, one of the teasers that came out was the one with the sloths at the DMV, and that whole bit was just what sold me on this movie. And when it came up again in the movie, you know how, like, you watch something really funny, and then when you go back and watch it again, it's still funny, but it's just not as funny because you know what's going to happen? I didn't get that feeling with this. I watched that scene again in the movie, and it was every bit as hilarious as it was the first time I saw it in the teaser. And there were some really funny references too, and you know how Disney likes to reference themselves. And in this movie, it was probably the most blatant reference of them all, because there was a scene where this character was selling bootleg DVDs on the street, and then they showed what was on the table, and it was all Disney movies. All Disney movies, but with like an animal replacing the main character. Like there was Wreck-It Rhino and Meowna or something like that. It was with a Moana with a cat. And it was even funnier because on the table there was Moana and there was Gigantic. Two movies that are not even out yet. I haven't even seen a trailer for Moana yet. Also, I gotta give them props for a Breaking Bad reference in this movie, because there was a scene where a character was messing with some chemicals and he was wearing the yellow jumpsuit, and I actually leaned over to Pinto, who I was seeing this movie with, who does the regular movie vlogs with me, and I leaned over to him and I said, "This just turned into Breaking Bad." And then sure enough, someone knocked on the door, and the character said, "Oh, that must be Jesse and Walter." And I was like, ah, I called it. And then there was how the whole movie wrapped itself up. Like, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it played out like a real detective movie. You know, they were following clues and interviewing people and following leads, and there was danger everywhere. And there was a lot of misdirection too, like a lot of misdirection. You think it's going to go one way, or you think they're setting up for one thing, but it turns out to be another thing. So I got to give them major props for the writing at the end of this movie. Now that being said, there were a lot of weird moments in this movie. There was a scene where they were following a lead, and it led them to an animal nudist colony where Tommy Chong played the receptionist, and I thought that was really funny. And this scene really did have a lot of funny jokes, but I think they spent a little too long there. I mean, even the characters were like, "No, I don't want to look at it." And yeah, it felt a little uncomfortable after a while. I guess I should talk about the message of this movie, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you really look at the setup here, I think you can tell what this movie's message was. You know, a big society, all these different animals trying to get along with each other. Yeah, pretty obvious. It's a very good message to have, and in fact, I think Wreck-It Ralph had a very similar message, but with Wreck-It Ralph, you had to kind of read between the lines and, you know, realize what they were trying to say here, and Zootopia did that very similarly, but there is a point in this movie when things just completely, like, there's a complete tonal change for like 10 to 20 minutes. Because up to that point it was kind of all fun and games and mystery solving and action and adventure, and then they just dropped this dump truck on your head. It was so jarring that it was just, the whole crowd that I was with just went silent. And it was just all kids in that theater. So to make an entire theater of children go silent is quite an accomplishment. But again, this movie was really, really good. It's great for adults, it's great for kids. So if you haven't seen it already, be sure to go check it out. Well, that's all I got for Zootopia. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think of it. My name is Rob, and have a wonderful day.